Hello, and thanks for being here today. Thank you for joining me on this channel. Let me begin by saying today I'm going to talk about the New Age movement. This is a channel where I talk about all different kinds of religious movements and spiritual insights, different groups that have appeared over the centuries and some of their basic beliefs. This is a channel primarily about history, so I really want to make it clear that I'm not promoting any particular faith or any particular spiritual movement. I'm not promoting today the New Age movement, but I'm also not condemning any movement. I'm attempting to look at these things through neutral eyes and present them as they would present themselves. But of course, I'm an outsider looking in, so that always has its drawbacks and presents certain parameters. Well, let me say that the New Age movement began in the 1900s and gained in popularity in the 20th century in the 1970s and 80s. The ideas and the teachings of this group come primarily from a variety of groups. One group is Theosophy and the teachings of Helen Blavatsky. Now, I have a video that I'll put a link in the description box about Theosophy, its foundings, and a bit about the Theosophical Society in America today. And many of the things that Blavatsky introduced to the West were ideas from the East. They were things from Hinduism and Buddhism and from Tibetan Buddhism, and a number of customs and ideas that were strange or different than Westerners were used to. Another group that the New Age movement can trace its roots to was called the New Thought movement. Now, the New Thought movement is a spin-off from Christian Science, from the Christian Science movement of the 19th century, the founder being Mary Baker Eddy. And I do have a video about that, so I'll put a link to that in the description box also. Another place where the New Age movement found its beginnings was in the spiritualism movement, which began about the same time as Blavatsky and Eddy were doing their work in the U.S. and were influencing a Western thought as far as spirituality goes. The ideas of these groups are metaphysical in nature. They emphasize the spirit or a spiritual existence as being the basis for reality as opposed to a materialistic one. And spiritualism, of course, wanted to be able to prove or enhance the belief in the existence of survival after death by being able to channel or speak with those who had passed. So the term New Age is really an umbrella term that covers a multitude of facets in this movement. It doesn't have one particular person or one particular group that, quote unquote, started the New Age movement. Some of the particulars of the movement are, first of all, an eschatological point of view, and it's a positive one, a looking forward to a new age, an age of enlightenment. And this is not only the view for society or our world as a whole, but also for the individual. Most New Agers, as I'm going to call them, believe in reincarnation. That is, that the individual goes through many incarnations as different people, each one evolving a little closer to the ultimate reality of enlightenment. And as such, our world is doing the same thing. So they look forward to a positive eschaton, a positive change in our world. And they believe this comes through individuals seeking their own spiritual development, which then becomes a movement, and when it reaches the tipping point and is worldwide, causes a change in the evolution of the planet. Well, the New Agers, let me say the representatives of the New Age, who are the speakers and writers, the names that you might see, tend to reject the Abrahamic religions of Western society, that being Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. And the reason they do so is a different type of eschatology, particularly found in Judaism and Christianity, and to a lesser extent in Islam. And that is the idea of a savior who comes and makes this change for us. They are believers in the individual doing their own work of salvation. But their view of an afterlife is positive, that this is a place of further development. The New Age movement grew primarily through books and pamphlets and other written material, as opposed to face-to-face evangelization, let me use that term. It spread very much through its writings. And many of these writings are said to be channeled. That is, either a great teacher from antiquity, such as Krishna, Jesus, Buddha, is channeling wisdom and giving new writings through these writers, or lesser known spirit guides. They are channeling the thoughts and words of these spirit guides, and that became an important part of their literature. Now, if I was going to select one text of importance for the New Age movement, it would probably be A Course in Miracles. And that text was a channeled text, and it is one of the mainstays or most important writings of the entire movement. It's a three-part text, part of it being theory, or the presentation of ideas, and then a practical section for the student, and another section for teachers who are presenting this material. And this can be done as a group study or individual. And as I said, it was a book that was channeled. And the New Age movement also borrows freely from the Eastern religions, particularly Hinduism and Buddhism. So some of the things that you would find New Agers practicing would be meditation. Meditation is a big part for many New Agers, but also yoga, or the study of Eastern or comparative religions. Many of the ideas of this movement have, over the decades, gone mainstream. Now, if you are part of one of the Abrahamic religions, you may have been told to avoid the New Age movement. It's been called everything from just misinformation to satanic information. And so you may have tried to avoid it. But mainstream, much of the alternative healing practices of today came through introduction by the New Age movement, by this umbrella movement, and a number of them from Taoism. So if you've ever taken a class in yoga, if you've ever done Tai Chi, if you've ever had your horoscope read or gone to a medium, if you've ever used or known someone to use tarot cards, if you've had acupressure or acupuncture performed, if you've gone to a Reiki healer or someone who does energy work, or even to a chiropractor, all of these things entered Western civilization through Theosophy and the New Thought movement and spiritualism, and they are all of the mainstays of the New Age movement. Some of the alternative healing practices have become so mainstream that insurance companies are actually paying for them as part of standard medical care. Now, not all insurance companies do that, and not all of the practices, but certainly chiropractic would be one. So some people think that the New Age movement, because it's not standardized and because so much of it has become mainstream and has been assimilated into general Western thought, that it is no longer a movement. As I mentioned at the beginning, in the 1960s and 70s and 80s, especially in the US, the literature of the New Age movement was vastly improved and spread throughout. You can't go to a bookstore today and not see a section of self-help books, and much of what you find there is from New Age literature. So whether you see it as a movement that has fallen by the wayside and is no longer viable as a separate movement, or you see yourself as a New Ager, it doesn't really matter. For those who are involved, and it has always been what we call a cafeteria movement. It doesn't have one particular doctrine or one particular set of things that you must do. It has always been that all of these ideas are presented and people are free in this movement to pick and choose and to utilize the ones that they think would be helpful for them in their spiritual walk. Just as an example, it is said, and you know how statistics on the internet are, I'm not sure how reliable they are, but I did see that about 70% of people in what we would call Western society have a belief now in reincarnation, and most have a definite belief in the idea of some part of them, the spirit of the individual, or some would call it the soul, extending and surviving beyond our material physical body. The literature is interesting and informative. It's usually in easy to read format. The practitioners of the New Age movement have the goal in mind that you are to move forward in your spiritual life. And this may include development of psychic abilities. It may include channeling or meditation or practice of other what we would call Eastern religious practices. You're not required to select one spiritual path or one religious path. And they are great believers that there are many paths to enlightenment and that we can each choose the one that works best for us. Well, do New Agers believe in God, you might say? And the answer is yes, but they usually believe in an abstract God, closer to the Hindu or Buddhist understanding of divinity than that of Christian or Judeo religions. They also believe that there are deities. I suppose we could call them deities or lesser gods, angels, ascended masters. It is the goal of the person to travel through the levels of consciousness of the earthly life and to continue then into a spiritual life, a more advanced life, and to continue that journey until they reach enlightenment. Well, these are just a few ideas from the New Age movement. I hope you've enjoyed this video. As always, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Leave your questions and comments, and if there's a group that you'd like to hear about, let me know. I enjoy doing research that people have suggested. I try to respond to everyone's comments, and I do my best to do so. I hope to be able to upload another video soon, and so I hope that you'll join with me then. In the meantime, please Stay well and enjoy life, and I'll see you real soon. Bye-bye for now.